So I was in the minors already, got released. There's a chance I never get signed again, and it was July. And it just so happened that the Cincinnati Reds had 2 injuries at my position on the same day, and I was an able body that was available, even though I had been released. So I got a call up to debut with the Cincinnati Reds that I did not earn, but I ended up somehow having the best game of my life. I broke a Cincinnati Reds franchise record, 6 RBIs, 2 home runs. I had a homer off of Adam Wainwright. And in that game, I let myself fully enjoy it and smile and be in the moment and just fully express.
Welcome to the Mid-Game Mindset. Join us as we dive into the pivotal moments that shape today's top sales and marketing leaders, RevOps innovators, and entrepreneurs. This is where grit meets growth and the game changes for good. If you find value in this conversation, be sure to share it with another growth leader who would enjoy it. And now, let's get to the show. Welcome to the Mid-Game Mindset. I'm your host, Rich Bishop, and today's guest is Ryan Lavarnway. Ryan, in 2007, was the NCAA batting champion with an unbelievable .467 batting average. He, of course, was an All-American that year. And Ryan, I had to look this up just for context. Tony Gwynn, who's arguably one of the best hitters in history, his best season in college, he hit .463. So you beat Tony Gwynn by 4 points in his 1978 season. So that's pretty damn impressive. Ryan also went on, of course, to play in the majors. He played for 8 different teams, won a World Series with the Boston Red Sox in 2013. Also went on to be an Olympian and play in the Olympics in 21 before wrapping up his career. And he is now a keynote speaker and leadership coach. So Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, great to be here. And you know what? This was already worth my time because I didn't know that Tony Gwynn stat, and now I'm going to use that in my marketing now.
There we go. We got it.
Thanks for that.
Absolutely. So I hit just a couple of the highlights, of which they are incredible highlights. I'd love to hear a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so it's funny. At this point in my life, I'm almost 40. I've grown up a lot, and when I was growing up, I thought I needed to be the best. I thought part of my self-worth was doing my best and my best being the best. And it wasn't until I was 30 or 35 even that I started to learn that the chinks in the armor and letting people see the other side of the success, the struggle, is what is relatable. So you read the bio, you read the highlights, which I appreciate, and I can't help but smile. But I look back at my story, and the angle through which I share it now is through all the things I overcame to get there. And for me, it's much more rewarding for me to know that, yeah, I did some really awesome things and some things I'm really proud of, but like that wasn't just in the cards no matter what. Like I worked my butt off and I overcame like not feeling good enough in high school and going to a college that's produced more presidents than baseball players and like being told I wasn't good enough in the minors and all those things on the way that to me makes all of the highs even better.
Absolutely. Those ups and downs that you go through, being or learning through the journey is really what I've learned as well, that it's all about. And I think that's where your story is so relatable for our audience here, the growth leaders, the entrepreneurs, the sales leaders who are dealing with some of those ups and downs. Maybe they don't play baseball, but they're going through a lot of ups and downs in their career, and the mindset that you have and that you now are talking about as a speaker, I think is fantastic for them to understand kind of where you're coming from in all of this.
Yeah, that's exactly when I talk to audiences when I'm on stage or at meetings or I'm coaching. That's exactly the bridge I try to make, because people love baseball stories and they love sports stories. And the goal is that I hope they can see themselves in the story. But realistically, nobody there is going to play in the Olympics, right? Nobody there is going to be a Major League Baseball player. So it's about how do you overcome your own challenges, your own struggles, because we live in a world of constant change and stronger competition than ever and higher expectations than ever. And I believe that resilience is the superpower that's going to help you get to where you're trying to go.
Definitely. And one of the places where we really like to start with that, and maybe this ties into the resilience factor, is what we call the mid-game moment. And what we found is that growth leaders all tend to have this moment in time where they're faced with a challenge and they have to draw on either their personal experience, from books, from mentors, but they have to shift their mindset in order to overcome it, which then helps them to get to new heights. And it almost seems to unlock a door for them in their careers and with their businesses. So, as I explain that, is there anything that comes to mind for you?
There's two things that come to mind. I just finished. I'm doing a ton of research right now on confidence and on resilience because I think I did a lot of things naturally right, and I think my parents always praised effort over results, and I think it just kind of fell into place for me. But now I'm like, all right, if my superpower was being really, really good at not quitting and not stopping and powering through, what was working for me and how do I now communicate that to other people? So you talk about the mid-game moment. One thing from Dr. Nate Zinzer's book, The Confident Mind, is he talks about you can't control the first thought, but you can get the last word in your own head.
Oh, I love that.
So, thoughts are going to come in. You're like, oh, this is hard, or I don't feel like doing this, or, this isn't easy, that I shouldn't be doing this. I should just quit. That first thought you can't control. But before you let that conversation end in your head, you can turn it into something productive. So, Dr. Zinzer talks about get the last word even when you're talking to yourself, or especially when you're talking to yourself. And I love that idea. And the other thing that comes to mind, you talk about the mid-game moment, is when I was playing baseball and I was trying to hit, if I tried to think about what I didn't want to do, that didn't work. Don't strike out, don't swing at the slider. You know what's going to happen. Everyone's heard that advice. But sometimes people will say, well, like, just don't think about anything, right? Like, get in the zone. And that doesn't work for me either, because the minute I say, don't think about a pink elephant, what's the first thing you think about? Right? So instead of
Yep.
just not thinking about the bad thing or trying to think about nothing, when I was hitting mid-game moment, as you mentioned, I would try to fill my head with 3 simple positives that I wanted to focus on. So for me, as I was hitting, it was like downhill, up the middle, hard. Very quick, very short, means more to me, but then there's no room for the other stuff in my head.
Nice. Did that almost become a mantra when you were getting up there over and over again to keep the other voices out? Is that how it came in?
Yeah, that it when I was going good, it did. Right? Baseball players, you always have slumps. That's why it's so relatable to life. Is it's not always good. You're not always at your best. You're a human being, and you could have the best swing in the world. You're gonna have a slump anyway. So when I was going good, it was because I was controlling my thoughts and controlling what I could control, and then other times not so much.
And then now that you've got a little bit of time and perspective to look back, when you were going through those slumps, are there some common themes either in the mindset or in your habits or in something else going on in your life that was consistent throughout the slumps? Like, did you find some common themes as you look back on those?
Yeah, so I love that I'm mentioning all these books right now. Ted Williams, The Science of Hitting, read it like 27 times in middle school. I could basically quote the whole book. I love what he says about when you're going good and then you go in a slump and you get out of it. Is when you're going really well, your focus is high on the right things, and your body is doing what it knows how to do with little effort. And then what happens is your body gets lazy and you go into a slump, and then your mind panics and you over-focus until you can relax the body again, because then you start trying too hard again, and then your focus, and then it takes getting to that medium, happy place again. So when I was in a slump, I would know that theoretically, right, philosophically. But what I would always try to do is I try to fix it, because I'm a fixer, I'm a doer. And I would be doing all these drills and doing mental calculus in my head, like a beautiful mind, like the string to the pin, and then I'd get out of it, and without fail, my wife would be with me, and she'd say, well, what are you doing different so I can help you faster next time? And I'd tell her I'd be like the thing with the elbow and the knee and the hip and the weight and my mind. And at the end of it, every time she'd be like, "So let me break this down. What I heard you say: take good swings at good pitches, like they told you when you were 5." So oftentimes I think when we're in a rut, we overcomplicate it, and sometimes just keeping it simple because we know what to do.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And I've got a good friend of mine that's run a number of sales organizations. He's now the president of a company, a software company. And he always talks about the Ted Williams strike zone. Whenever he comes into the company, that's one of the first things that he's looking for is, okay, are we swinging at the right pitches, so to speak, right? Are we going after the right customers? Are they in our wheelhouse, and are we equipped to serve them the right way? Because so many companies get out of their strike zone and they start swinging at, theoretically, right, swinging at pitches that are outside or down in the dirt. They're just trying to capture any kind of business that they can, and they end up losing the essence of what got them to where they are. So sometimes it really takes that refocusing, and don't make it too complicated. Focus on what got you there and what really is in that strike zone. So I love that you brought that up.
You're giving me gold right now. I mean, I'm supposed to be the guest, but you're giving me gold right now. I love this.
All right, we've talked about the mindset. We've talked about resilience. Obviously, your career was a long one. You've had great times. You've had some slumps that you've gone through. Is there a particular setback that really changed the way that you approach the game? And the reason why I bring that up is because I'm going back to where you had said before that your mindset was to be the best, and that being the best is kind of was the bar for success. How did that mindset or that thought pattern shift over the years as you were going through your career?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, I'm going to take it big picture for a second. When I got called up to the Red Sox, I was 24 years old, and I thought I knew who I was supposed to be. And I wanted to be like Jason Varitek. He was the catcher, he was the captain, he's a Red Sox Hall of Famer, he was one of my favorite players, everyone trusted him. And before I met Jason, before I played with him, I was warned, like, Jason's very serious. You might think he wants to eat your face off. But that's just kind of how he is. So, like, don't take it personal. And as it turned out, Jason was very generous to me. He was very kind. He gave me his time, his energy. He shared his notes on pitch calling with me, which was like a beautiful mind. He was great, but personality-wise, him and I are not the same. So me trying to be like him and thinking I needed to be that way to be successful, it wasn't authentic, and it didn't feel real, and it came off as fake. So, I got called up. The reason I mentioned that is I got called up, and I hit my first 2 major league home runs in a very important game that we were in a playoff hunt, right behind my head. I was on the cover of the Boston Globe the next day, the newspaper, as unlikely hero in Boston. Like, I was on the Sports Center, not top 10. And when I look at that highlight, I remember thinking, don't smile. You're not allowed to smile. Like, you have to act like you've done this before, even though it's your first major league homer, right? Like, you're serious, you're accomplished. Like, this isn't a big deal for you. And then I experienced plenty of failure, up and down 100 times. From there, 8 years later, I actually got released from AAA with the Yankees. So I was in the minors already, got released. There's a chance I never get signed again. There's a chance I never play baseball again, because it's the middle of the season. It was July. And it just so happened that the Cincinnati Reds had 2 injuries at my position on the same day and needed an able body that was available, and I was an able body that was available, even though I had been released. So I got a call up to debut with the Cincinnati Reds that I did not earn, right? I didn't deserve this. But I ended up, somehow having the best game of my life. I broke a Cincinnati Reds franchise record. It's the oldest franchise in baseball. 6 RBIs, two home runs. They had a homer off of Adam Wainwright, who's a future Hall of Famer. And in that game, I let myself fully enjoy it and smile and be in the moment and just fully express. And I think of that as my favorite game, the best game I ever had. And those pictures of me smiling with my teammates is one of my fondest memories.
Next year's growth targets aren't going to build themselves, and guesswork isn't a strategy. Midgame Consulting's annual sales planning guide is built for CROs of high-growth, high-impact companies who want to use the latest frameworks and templates that build an integrated sales plan to start the new year off right. It's free and available for download. Just go to salesplansuccess.com. That's salesplansuccess.com. Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. And, you know, you hear about this next man up mentality from teams and in professional sports especially, right? Yes, somebody's hurt, next man up, somebody's got to get in and get there. I would say, first of all, that's an amazing roller coaster ride, being released from AAA and then getting called right up to the bigs immediately to play. It takes a special person to be ready for that call up, right? So from a team perspective, the mentality is next man up, but what is it like to be that next man, being ready to get into that spot, and you've got to perform at a high level right away when really you've just had a major letdown in your life, maybe just a few days before?
Yeah, the day before. And I was nervous, to say the least. I was scared. I was also taking an online class towards my degree because I still hadn't graduated from Yale yet. So I'm taking a Yale summer class at the time. And I think it's kind of fortuitous that I was taking that class at the time, because we were studying what it takes to be creative and what it takes to let out your inner genius. This week, it just happened to be the class. And one of the things was laughter. And how smiling and laughter lets out your inner genius. So that day, I'm so nervous. I need to move out of my apartment in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, break my lease, utilities, power, furniture, all the things. My wife and my dog need to drive from Scranton, Pennsylvania to Cincinnati, Ohio with the whole car. I get on the first flight out, need to pass a physical, get a new uniform, order red catcher's gear, learn a scouting report on the other team, learn the scouting report on my own team, and then play a major league game. And I'm so nervous. But I'm studying the power of laughter, so I decide on this day to turn on my Pandora station to today's top comedy. And I'm just ripping comedy all day long in my earphones, to the point where I'm in the on-deck circle, like repeating some of my favorite jokes from the day to myself. And I feel like it allowed my genius to come out. So, like, who knows? You talk about how did you do that? I was scared, I was nervous, and I listened to comedy. I don't know.
That's awesome. That was enough to relax you and kind of get you into that middle ground that you were talking about earlier. It sounds like, where you were like, just let's be, right? Let's just go.
Yeah. I was also, you know what I was also that week? I remember I was binging The Good Place on Netflix. Have you seen this show?
I have not, no.
So, Kristen Bell, I think is the actress, the little blonde girl. And she's like, maybe wasn't a great person in real life, but ends up in heaven. And in heaven, you can't say bad words, but she like curses up a storm. So in one of the first few episodes, she's like celebrating it. And she's like, holy mother forking shirt balls. And I when I hit the second homer, I was like, what is happening? I kept saying that. I was rounding second base, like, holy mother forking shirt balls. Like, what's going on right now?
That's awesome. You were able to be relaxed and be in that moment. And then, you know, take us from there through your career. You had some more ups and downs, but then had an opportunity to play in the Olympics. What was that journey like?
Yeah, so I've actually been taken off of a major league roster more than anyone else in the history of baseball, which I like to reframe as I've been added to major league rosters more than anyone else in the history of baseball. And the Olympic journey was pretty cool. I played for Israel, and That kind of started through the World Baseball Classic, where you don't have to have citizenship to represent a country. And Israel was putting a team together of American Jewish ball players or people with Jewish heritages, and USA wasn't going to invite me, right? Because I was the up and down fringe guy. So a bunch of us played, and we made this big splash. We finished sixth in the tournament. It was this unbelievable experience. They made 2 documentaries about our team. It really changed my life and how I view myself in the world with the Jewish community. So then when the Olympics came around, it was a no-brainer for me. Like, this is really meaningful, and this is something I want to do. And the Olympics baseball hadn't been in the Olympics for 12 years, so it wasn't even a dream that I ever bothered having because it wasn't an option. But getting to be an Olympian is something that I'm so proud of now, and I'm so grateful for this abstract opportunity that it kind of shows, if something comes up, run with it, because you never know what it could lead to.
That's great. And in that journey, right? Lots of ups and downs. You've obviously learned resilience throughout that. Is there somebody in particular who influenced your thinking along the way? Somebody that comes to mind that really kind of challenged the way that you thought, or helped you to see things in a different light as you were going through this journey?
My mom's best friend, who I call Aunt Linda, even though we're not technically related, she is a mindset coach and has been a sports psychologist for Olympians and elite athletes forever. So I had access to her most of my life, and she really helped me. And she helped me understand fear of success, fear of failure, like visualization, the power of journaling. She helped me a lot. And I'd say her, number one. My dad always praising effort over results, and I always believed that if I put in the effort, I would get the results I wanted. And I also remember my first month in pro ball. I'm in rookie ball. There's 6 levels I need to climb to get to the big leagues. It's starting to dawn on me, like, even though I'm a pro, only 16% of players play 1 day in the big leagues, and half of those don't play a year. So it's a very small chance, even now I'm pro. And the Red Sox do this thing when the major league team is out of town, where they have a doubleheader with a single A team and the triple A team at Fenway Park, and they call it the Futures at Fenway. It's very cool. And I think it was the day after my birthday that year that I was getting drafted. So I remember it was August 8th. Single A was playing, triple A was playing, and I saw the triple A players, and somebody pointed out, like, oh yeah, that guy, he's been up and down a few times. Oh, that guy over there, he's never really made it, but he's making a good AAA salary. And I saw the option of, like, even if I don't make it, I could still find success. Like, even if plan A of, like, go to the big leagues, play for a team, make $100 million, there is an A minus of, like, go to AAA, have a nice career, play for a long time. And I remember that was like, well, you can carve out your own definition for success, not just the same one you've always had.
Yeah. So in that experience, you got to see what's possible. And I've heard, what is it? Shoot for the stars and you may land on the moon. Right. So it's something similar, right? Like, shoot big, but you'll get somewhere in the middle, and obviously a very good career can come from being in the AAA organization for a while, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. One of my favorite authors right now is Brad Stuhlberg, and I got to hang out with him last weekend, which was really awesome. In his writings and in person, he talks about, like, not everybody has the potential to be whatever. Insert your dream here. But the only way that you're going to max out your own potential is whatever that nature is in you. You have to nurture your own nature. And it's ultimately not about whatever that end goal is. It's about becoming the best version of yourself in the pursuit of it.
That growth journey along the way. And that, by the way, is a big difference from I need to be the best in order to be successful, right? That's a massive mindset shift that you go through over the course of a career, of course, but it takes a lot of those experiences to kind of get you there.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're still spending a lot of time really digging in and learning and trying to grow. What is a a growth habit look like for you? Like, how are you with all the time that you're spending on the road? I believe you're still doing some coaching as well, right? So between all of those things that you have going on, how do you make time for your own personal growth, and what does that look like?
I'm consuming as much as I can right now. So audiobooks when I'm on a plane, reading when I'm home, podcasts, like hopefully someone is listening to this trying to get better, right? For me, it's what can I take and apply to my own life, or what knowledge can I add to my base from all these other brilliant people that are doing the work, doing the research, writing these books. Um, just two studies that I've heard of recently that kind of changed the game for me was they they did a study at Yale where they handed out really decadent, rich, calorie-filled milkshakes to one group after a workout, and then fruit-forward, healthy, nutrient-based smoothies to this other group. And they studied when they got hungry again, how full they were, like down to the hormonal release of the whatever the hormone is that makes you feel like you're not hungry. And the results were just as you'd expect, right? The calorie-rich, decadent milkshake, they were fuller for longer. They didn't get hungry versus the nutrient-rich. Except the problem is they gave both groups the exact same milkshake. And it's interesting how the mind could change the way your body reacted down to the hormonal level of releasing hunger hormones. Like the power of your mind is so far beyond what we give it credit for. And they did another one where they studied hotel workers, and they told one group that their job cleaning the rooms or whatever they did in the hotel was sedentary, and that they really probably needed to exercise more. And they told another group, like, the fact that you're on your feet working and going around the hotel a day is great exercise. And the bodies reacted different based on what they thought about their job and physical activity. Like, the brain is incredible. The mind is so powerful that you got to use it to your advantage, and don't just let the world algorithm affect where you're going every day.
Yeah, you've got a couple of different things going on there that I love. And I had heard about that second story, the second study, which is fantastic. It does really prove that what you put your mind to, you can manifest. People use that word a lot, right? You can kind of create. And in the case of the hotel workers, it was that they were more healthy because they viewed it as exercise. I know that self-limiting beliefs are a major issue for a lot of people, right? And even those people that are high performers still have those doubts that kind of creep in. I know a big part of your platform and what you talk about is why not you? I'd love to hear a little bit more about that and how that relates to the mindset shifts and the limiting beliefs that we were just talking about.
Yeah, I'm all about why not you. For me, it's because I've had 3 conversations in my life and in my baseball career that changed the way I viewed what was even possible. In high school, I didn't make the varsity team until my senior year, and I probably never would have made the varsity team because I was at the best high school baseball program in Southern California by design. But I was short and slow and bad at defense, and had a very average arm, and I could list all the reasons why I shouldn't have been good enough at the time. And I was so desperate for my coach's approval that one day I volunteered for something, and he just kind of looked at me and was like, well, why not you? And I was like, well, I could tell you all the reasons why not. He's like, no, why not you? And he helped me question all of my own limitations, right? All of the reasons I thought why not. And there's a ton of research behind this too. It's called self-interrogation, where all the mantras, all the positive self-talk goes only so far until you don't believe it anymore. You're like, I'm going to be the best salesman in the world, right? I'm going to win the Aflac National Sales Championship, right? Like, I can't even say that without giving it a funny accent and making this motion with my arm. It doesn't feel real. But if you go through self-interrogation and you ask the question, well, why not? Well, your brain's gonna go into overdrive, coming up with answers, and now you have a roadmap for all the hurdles you're gonna have to overcome. Now you start to get the how and the why, that thing is possible. And it's like this audacious, permission giving, like life affirming question of like, I'm not going to accept the way this is going right now. Why not? Like, let's go.
And you've turned that into a journal, right? What is that like? And if I'm a sales leader or an entrepreneur, what does that help me do with my daily habits?
Yeah, I have my author copy right here that has the like not for resale sticker on it still. But why not journal? So this was something I created because journaling ended up being a really powerful tool for me in my own career. And what I did was all of the best exercises that I used in my career that came from mental skills coaches, from Aunt Linda, from all the reading that I was doing, like build a support system around you to support your goals on purpose, intention set, celebrate your wins, have gratitude, um, start with where you are today so that you can have an objective place to measure from when you measure growth. Like I put them all in this journal because I think it's really powerful, and I wanted people to have a tool that they can use that's approachable and easy to do. And from a sales leader perspective, if your people aren't resilient, if your salespeople aren't resilient, then you're leaving money on the table, right? If they don't pick up that phone the extra 5 times at the end of the day because they're gassed from all the rejection, you're leaving money on the table, right? If they don't finish the conversation and try to overcome that objection one more time, you're leaving money on the table. Like resilience leads to bottom line results immediately.
Yeah, and you've built your resilience over a long career, and to have to go back and forth between the bigs and the minors and the bigs and the minors throughout, you've obviously built up a ton of resilience. And I do equate that to, what an entrepreneur goes through and what a sales leader goes through, that, they're knocking on doors, they're getting rejected on a regular basis, right? But they've got to be able to come back with the right enthusiasm. Maybe they need to throw in their comedy Pandora and before they get in the door and just kind of get into that right spot. Tell me a little bit about, now you're out speaking and working with some of these groups in a coaching capacity. What has that experience been like, working with business people, sales leaders, entrepreneurs, and others?
It's been really rewarding. When I was transitioning out of baseball, nobody ever tells you how much of a mind F it is to go from, this sport. There was only one thing I ever wanted to do from the time I was 5 until I was 35. And all of a sudden, you got to start over. And you don't know what skills are going to translate. You don't know what you're going to do. And you feel like as a 36 year old, I don't want to start over against kids that are 19 years old all over again, right? But what it turns out is all the elite performance, elite resilience lessons that I learned are just as applicable for people doing their jobs in the boardroom and the sales room and in the newsroom and whatever. And the work then became, well, how do I translate this so that it makes sense for them? Because I've never been interested in writing a memoir, right? Like I don't think I'm that cool. So I'd rather give people something that they can use. And the feedback I hear from CEOs to, executive vice presidents of sales to whatever, like the lessons I learned translate exactly. And they need this and they're grateful for it. And I love when people reach back out to me 6 months later saying, we're still using the verbiage, we're still using the exercises and the mindset that you gave us.
Are your go-to-market teams built for scale, or are they stuck in chaos? At Mid-Game Consulting, we turn high-growth challenges into operational wins. From sales strategy to CRM to process optimization, we help you get it right so that your organization can grow as your top line grows. Let's transform today's change into tomorrow's success. Visit midgameconsulting.com. That's midgameconsulting.com. That's awesome. That's got to be so rewarding to be able to, number one, make that transition, but to be able to get that call 6 months later and know that it's been successful and it's sticking and that you're having that kind of impact. Because you could have gone into coaching full time, right? You've got enough experience and enough credentials to be able to do that. Why did you, Is that really why you made that decision to go into speaking and coaching, is to have a different kind of impact on people?
Yeah, well, number one, I wanted to make a decision for my family to be in one place more. The baseball nomadic lifestyle is hard for a family. So that was a priority. And also, I do believe there's a coach in me that itch needs to be scratched. So I want to coach, I want to help, and this is a way to do it in a way that also allows for my family to have the life I want to give them.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Being able to settle in. I've had a number of conversations with entrepreneurs who have started their businesses specifically because they could work from home and they could be there for their family as their children were growing up. And then, of course, once their children are out in college and kind of doing their own thing, then maybe things shift a little bit for them and they can get back on the road. But having the family as a primary motivator, right, and a priority for you is something that I see in common with a lot of high performing growth leaders. I'd love to hear what it's like. You grew up playing baseball, right? Baseball was everything for you, and now you're a girl dad, right?
Yeah. She got her little pink glove the other day. Whether she uses it or not is up to her, but she's got a little pink glove in there now.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have that in common. I have 2 teenagers now, and I'm starting to go through the college application process with my oldest, which I'm not ready for. It goes way too quickly. But I've learned a lot in that process, right? And being a dad and being a girl dad specifically is very, very different than raising boys. I've loved it. And I know you recently had a coloring book that you produced, right, with her in mind?
Yeah, just yesterday I published it. She's obsessed with learning her letters. She knows almost all of them. U still gives her trouble in Z. But if I was going to create something for her, and I wanted to keep it on theme for me, is the ABCs of resilience. And the fun part is I put all my nieces and nephews, and like, this is Blake, B for Blake. Blake bounces back by believing big. Yeah, it was a fun project. Chris Brown illustrated my first kids book that I'm really proud of also, Baseball and Belonging. So Chris and I have been looking for a project to do together again, and this was something I want in my house. I'm hoping that what it is a very approachable and fun way for parents to start the conversation about resilience and mindset with a fun outlet for their kids. That's the hope.
That's great. I love that. And being able to, I think it's really cool that you brought some of the principles of resilience and some of the things that you're speaking about into a kid's level to be able to open up that conversation between parents and the children as they're having fun with it.
Yeah. Start with big ideas in a small and approachable way.
That's right. Well, Ryan, as we get ready to wrap up, are there any other points or lessons that you want to make sure that we give to the audience?
You know what, the biggest thing, and I kind of end all my speeches with this, and we didn't do the full why not mindset, but give yourself permission. Why not you? Set big goals so that when you accomplish something, it feels like something great. Why not more? Surround yourself with people that believe in you and support you. Why not us? And remember that all the information in the world without action isn't any good. So why not start right now?
That's a great place to leave it. Ryan, thank you so much for joining. If people want to follow you or get a hold of you, how do they do that?
I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn, pretty active. Ryan Lavarnway, it's a pretty easy name to remember. And RyanLavarnway.com is under construction, but will be up and awesome soon.
Great. And we'll include links to all of those locations as well as the books on Amazon in the show notes as well for everybody. So Ryan, thank you again for joining. I really appreciate the conversation.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks for joining us on the Mid-Game Mindset. If today's episode sparked a new idea or helped shift your perspective, share it with someone who's ready to grow. Subscribe, leave a review, and keep playing the game. With the right mindset, the best moves are still ahead. Until next time, keep changing the game.